Hello and welcome to part 7 of starting the fountain pen collection. Um, I just wanted to give you an update on the collection of pens so far. I mean, I seem to have lost track with the last couple of episodes, just focusing on the ink testing. So I just wanted to give you an update here. So here I now have a collection of 12 pens. Um, I think one or two I replaced. But here I have the Visconti Rembrandt in the red. This one is also a new edition. It's the Waterman Laureate pen. I think this is the Mark II version, so this is the earlier version, original from the 90s. I like the pen really much, and so basically I went out and found this one. Actually, this happened by chance. I visited a pen store, and they had one of these in the cabinet. They had to really dust it off. There was an ink cartridge inside already, and they had to kind of flush it out and clean it up a little bit. But actually, the pen is in good working order, and the difference between the Mark 1 and Mark 2 um, is there's not much in it. I mean, there looks to be a slight length difference on the Mark II. Let me see if I can show you the differences between the nibs. Get a close up of that. I was having problems with the Mark 1 with a slight leaking problem, and also there's a bit of damage on this one here, so I wanted to replace that one eventually. So, and that was the reason for this purchase. And also I like this brown lacquer finish, and it wasn't too expensive as well, so it's quite an inexpensive pen. This one is the Lamy Vista in a 1.5mm stub nib. I have a Twisby Eco in a 1.1mm stub. This is the Kaweco Supra in a broad. This one, also found this. I think this was a tester pen for one of the pen stores, and so they pretty much gave this away really. So I picked this up for a couple of euros. It's a Lamy Nex. Same again with this Lamy. They were used as tester pens, so they pretty much gave this away at the same time. So I decided to take those on board, mainly to test the inks really, rather than to have it in my final collection of pens that I'm going to use daily. I'm going to use it more for testing the inks. This is the one I covered earlier from a TV commercial. This I'm not too sure of the brand. I don't think there was a brand name. This is the Schaefer calligraphy pen in a 2.0mm stub nib. So again, this is not something I would have in my final collection. It's just there for testing ink purposes, and I think it looks, for testing ink, it's fantastic. But for everyday use, it's too wide. The nib is 2mm. It's just too wide for me to use. Again, this is one I got free from the bank. It's a blue lacquer finish. So this remains as one of my tester pens. This is a Parker 51. This may well end up in my final collection. I find it, I'm quite surprised by, how good these vintage pens are still writing. Despite the age of the pens, they're still performing, and so far it still stays in my collection. So what I wanted to do also in this episode was to test some inks further. I started to get more advice from the internet. So I joined fountain pen network forums, and started to get some good advice on how to test the inks. I wanted to test all inks available, and I received some very straightforward comments in the forums, and now they kind of beat some sense into me, because to test all inks was kind of an outrageous statement. Basically, it's more than 1,000 inks, I've been told, and obviously the pen that you use also affects this, and also the paper, and also nib sizes. So pretty much the test will be endless. So what they've recommended for me to do is to kind of narrow down the number of inks to 5 or 6 that I'm gonna use on a daily basis, and then that already cuts down the number of choices of colors that I'm gonna test, and then also to work out the set number of pens that I'm gonna be testing on, and also the paper. So hopefully those things will narrow down the testing process. And I will cut to a time-lapse video now, and to show you some test comparisons between red, blue and green inks that I have already. Here I have 5 different colors of red. Wanted to test the same color, or the same type of color, in one page. I mean, the last time I did illustrations, I did a mixture of different colors with a different color ink into the same page. So now I have the same color on one page. So this is the definitions of red by each of the companies: Urban, Waterman, and Diamine, and Visconti. So it shows a great deal of variance of what they define as red. This is almost a burgundy color, it's almost brown, and then we have almost a pink. This Urban color is borderline orange now, and the Visconti is the one that is kind of most resembling a red, that in my mind what a red should be. But it doesn't mean that these are not any good. It's just that sometimes I will have to search further um, for the other shades of red that they offer. So this is still not making a like for like comparison. So I will have to um, go back to Diamine and search for a similar shade of red to the Visconti, so I can make a comparison. Here you can't really compare the two and say this is your favorite because this is a lighter shade. So we'll have to get the full range from Diamine to see if there's a color that resembles the Visconti. So this second picture with the blue is kind of highlighting the problem I just mentioned. Because we have so many different shades of blue from Herban, I decided to put all the Herban shades into one picture. So here this is a now turquoise color, but they just promote this is a shade of blue. Again, this is also a turquoise, but a darker turquoise color. Again, it's just called blue, but obviously there's a name next to it, but it's hard to distinguish if you're just looking at the bottle. You can't really see much difference in the shades. This one I kind of like, but then again, this was tested earlier. It seems this sapphire color here that I have. This looks like any other blue that you get from your standard ink cartridges. So really trying to separate the different types of blue, and I think maybe this blue here I favor a little bit more. It seems to have a touch of light grey to it, so maybe I will test more blues, maybe with a blue black as well. I have more tests with the green. So this is the final picture I wanted to show. This one is a mixture of Herban, Diamine and Visconti, and again, if you can see, there's a big shade difference in terms of how green is defined. So this is the olive green, it's very light. This Herban color is also very light. Then you have your darker diamines, which is with some black added, and the Visconti is I don't know where to put this. I think it you could even put this in the turquoise category rather than the green, but Visconti market this as green, and they have a separate one for turquoise, so maybe I'll show the difference in the next video between the Visconti green and the Visconti turquoise. I think in everybody's mind this is probably the one green that resembles what green should be, but if you look at this, there's a great range of greens available, so hopefully I'll do more tests in the coming months. I will try to refine the testing process with the help of Fountain Pen Network, so I'm started to discuss some of my results in the forums, and through their advice and discussions I will refine the testing process, and hopefully will give you even better results, and more conclusive results in the coming months. Okay, catch you next time. Bye.